Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UK League Championship. Now, we just had Fnatic crush Enclave in our first game of the day. Now, number 2 is going to be Barrage taking on Phelan. Orcs, is this going to be a one-sided affair, or do you think it's going to be a little bit closer than the last one?
I still have hope for Phelan. I feel like Phelan are a team who, in the early game, can hold their own against any roster. They did this against Barrage in their first matchup in week 1. They held their own pretty convincingly in the early game. It's the mid-game where things start to get messy. They start to take questionable fights. Their objective control isn't too sharp. They struggle with lane assignment as well. It was a 1-3-1 in Barrage's favor that did dismantle Phelan. Ultimately, I feel like it's just one more step for Phelan before they can really start to challenge some of these stronger teams. Question is, will we see this here? They are strong in the early. That's the thing I got to say. That's my praise for them.
They are, but so Barrage.
True.
Barrage have been pretty good in the early. They challenged XL, and every time we say this, you always correct me. Like, yeah, they did on a late game team comp, but even so, they are a team who are willing to scrap early here for Barrage. And you know, if they catch out Phelan off guard, they could also just pull themselves ahead here. Now, let's have a little look at the players. Who are we looking at? Who do you kind of, if you're on the side of Phelan, who's the carry versus Barrage, sorry?
I don't even think it's a particular carry. I think it's going to come from team play. I think Raisins and Sawyer need to be working well in tandem. I think there's been a little bit of a disconnect between the jungle and support of Phelan, and I think if they can work well together, because I think Sawyer does have some good moments, but maybe a little bit over-aggressive at times. If they can start moving around as a unit and establishing control from there, I think they could really start to take control in the mid-game. I think that's the big question, because I think Dragains, Jack Spectre, and Battery, they've all had strong moments. I think they just need a little bit of better team play to come out from them. Because you said, you know, how Barrage went toe-to-toe with XL in the early game. Phelan went toe-to-toe with XL and Barrage in the early game. They've gone toe-to-toe with a lot of teams in the early stages. It's just they lose control there. And that's what's almost frustrating for me, is I feel like they're close. They just need that mid-game to be a little bit sharper, to have a clearer identity for them. And then maybe they can take it a bit further.
Alrighty, well, picks and bans have started up here. We have the Draven, the Senna, the Aurelia, and the Soroka all banned away. Now, Barrage looking for their final ban. It is going to be the Ornn, a staple kind of flex pick that we've seen quite a lot here in the UKLC and in other regions quite regularly. Phelan looking to ban away one more thing. Are they going to look for a comfort pick, or is there a few more meta picks that maybe they want to get
I think
rid of
Syndra
first?
potentially you can ban here. The alternative is a Phelios, but the danger with that is you leave Misfortune open. A lot of AD carries banned away, so they are going to go for the Phelios. So Barrage now, they can go the Syndra. That does give over the Misfortune, or they can prioritize the Misfortune themselves. It's really up in the air what they want to do. They could go in a completely different direction, potentially look towards something like, you know, here we're seeing at the set. So leaning on that one. But it does mean Phelan, if they want, they can get choice of AD carry when there's 3 already banned away. They could also get priority on jungler, on mid lane. There's a lot of options in this situation. To me, if they do go for this Aatrox, it's a sort of matchup we have seen quite consistently at every level, internationally as well, where it's just Aatrox in a set. I think it doesn't reveal too much about the direction Phelan's going. I think that's a major thing coming out. And they're actually going to go and pick up the Ezreal. I feel like Barrage, they could just take the Misfortune if they wanted to and look to punish the lane. Phelan can pair that Ezreal up with a Yuumi on their third pick if they wanted to.
Alrighty, well, Barrage, you don't really want to pick the Yuumi if you don't have the Ezreal to go with it in most cases here, so...
The one thing you can do is you can pick a lane aggressive enough that taking Ezreal Yuumi feels really bad. I do like the Syndra coming out. You could potentially look to take the Leona here as well, and that would apply pressure, but I feel like...
Could also just take the Fresh as well here, so then you have that flex pick. They do lock in that Fresh. Means that if they do put Kevo on the Syndra, they have that kind of safety tool. A lot of engage, because if you land that hook onto an Ezreal, Yuumi's not going to do much at that point pre-6, and you're going to have a dead Ezreal. Now, this doesn't mean that Syndra is going bot lane. It just means that they have some kind of safety, some kind of gank setup in that bot side of the map. We'll have to see what Phelan's answer is. Maybe they don't want to pick the Yuumi now, but that Fresh has been locked in. It looks like the case is they are going to go for the Yuumi, so they take that.
So it's just super scaling bot lane. Super scaling, a lot of poke potential, spikes really hard in the mid game, but keeps relevant later because of the Yuumi backing up the Ezreal. Up against a Thresh, you have the mobility to keep safe, but it's very easy for Barrage to pick an AD carry that can just really contest priority. I would like to see the MF banned away here by Phelan, because I think it's going to make your laner phase a little bit difficult. There are, you potentially also throw a ban towards maybe the Varus on top of that. but actually going towards the jungle. So banning away that Gragas from Sybil. Interesting, but I feel like maybe they're not wanting to potentially waste bans by throwing it towards a role that could already be picked with the Flex Syndra. But I feel like if they do end up taking the Misfortune, it's going to apply a lot of pressure to you in the early stages and essentially force Jack Spectre and Raisins under tower for the most part. And we talked about how I'd like to see Sawyer and Raisins pairing up. Isn't really as much opportunity to do this when you are playing the Yuumi. It's a lot harder to actually work with your jungler because you have to make that rotation over to him and then latch onto him. And it's not really as powerful in skirmishes having the Yuumi compared to having a support with CC in their kit, at least not until the later stages.
Yeah, well, looks like the Elise is getting banned away. We've seen a lot of jungle bans come through here into the second stage of the ban phase. Barrage, what do they want to take away? Jarvan is still open.
Yeah, Sawyer's been playing Jarvan pretty heavily, and I feel like the Thresh does mitigate some of the effectiveness of it, but it's a sort of pick that Ezreal Yuumi massively mitigates the effectiveness of a Jarvan, so it wasn't really something I felt Barrage were going to take, and no surprise to ban away from Phelan. You're in a position here where Phelan, you can either take the jungler and it'll be a blind matchup, or you can take the mid laner expecting the Syndra mid, or potentially just as a blind. Zoe's been really powerful in tandem with the Ezreal and the Yuumi and is a solid blind on the current patch. You could also look towards the LeBlanc as a solid option, but Phelan, they're going to go back to what they were playing quite a bit, which is that Pantheon. We have seen them take Pantheon Talia before, and I think actually that'd be pretty strong here.
It'd be very strong here.
It would offer priority in mid lane and control to expand around the rest of the map, which I think they need if they're playing Ezreal Yuumi bot lane.
Now we're looking at what Barrage can pick up here. We know Sybil likes that Lee Sin, so that's potentially open for him if he wants to take that. They're looking for either an AD carry and a mid laner as well. It does look like Sybil's going to get his hands onto his Lee Sin once again, so something that he can use to kind of assert that dominance over the map.
With this many junglers down as well, it stands out as the strong pick left over. I think here we're going to see whether this is going to be a Flex Syndra. Misfortune still being open is a pretty strong pick that you can use to apply pressure in the bot lane. But there's still options like the Varus. You can even see Kevo bring out something off the wall. He has played the Heimerdinger before. So I guess we'll just see how this one plays out.
Running it down here for the side of Barrage. They're going to pick up the Kalista. So Shadow Isles bot lane here for the side of Barrage. What do you make of this? How do you think this goes into the Ezreal Yuumi?
It's pretty interesting. In the lane, you can really pressure. Kalista, when she was firmly in the meta, when she was super powerful, she was firmly like a 2v2 killer. She could find kills on the back of her rend. She hasn't been really that prevalent that much recently. Would you see occasionally picked up in Korea? I know they like to play with Taric in the bot lane because obviously there's a big scaling element that comes from that. But here and now, I feel like the Kalista, you really need to have a strong early game when you're up against Ezreal Yuumi because they will outscale. And it does become difficult to play team fights later on when you have a lot of dive from Phelan and a lot of poke. One of the big issues with Kalista is that she wants to be in that sweet spot. She wants to be kiting away from melee champions, but she doesn't want to be too far away so that she's just outranged by things like the Ezreal and the Yuumi. So Barrage, they have a composition that's going to favor them looking for momentum in the early stages and then really snowballing that mid bot lane matchup. Phelan, a lot more scaling available to the composition, but it's not like they have no early pressure. The Pantheon Sejuani, although it's not Pantheon Talia, it still has quite a bit of strength in the mid jungle in the fact that the Pantheon with his empowered W can instantly stack the Sejuani E because you do the shield vault, you get 3 melee auto attacks on the back of that, and you can essentially layer the CC quite effectively. If Sybil gets caught out by Dragain and Sawyer, he could very easily go down.
Yeah, you can see that Ericsson's taking the cleanse as well out of respect for the amount of CC available to the side of Phelan. So really on Phelan coming into this game, we're looking at them saying, okay, they've had good early games. They've challenged some of the top teams, and they are up versus our second seed here in the UKLC. Barrage want to keep that streak of dominance. They've only dropped 1 game, and that's to BTXL so far. If they lose here to Phelan, it's a good omen for Phelan, first of all. And it might be a little bit of a storm on the horizon for the battleship. We'll have to see. We're loading into the game nice and soon. We're seeing the Hail of Blades for Kalista, so still the runes we used to take on her. It's been a while since I've seen a Kalista, but I saw a lot of people used to take Hail of Blades back in the day.
Back in the day, Halo Blades, it was way before Halo Blades was even
actually,
a thing.
It might be a different version of Halo Blades.
I mean, Kalista hasn't really been in the meta for a long time. Recently, people have been playing Halo Blades. It allows that burst to stack up the rend. I believe this is on 10.3, so I believe we haven't got the changes. I don't think we have the change.
Are they changing Halo? I'm so out of touch.
They made Halo Blades, so before it was 4 seconds out of combat. Now it's going to be 8 seconds flat cooldown. So it will refresh in combat, which is a pretty nice aspect to it. Although, to be honest, if Callista's stacking up spears on you for 8 seconds, then you're probably dead.
You're probably dead, yeah. It doesn't really matter at that point. The team's standing by. Looks like we're getting ready to go on to the Rift here. Our second game of the day is going to be Barrage versus Phelan. I am very excited to see how Kevo is going to do on this Callista. Now, the AD carry pool was fairly thinned down, but the MF was still open. Who has been a high priority AD carry for most of this season. Well, the entirety of this season and for quite a while now. So, interesting to see.
Wanting to go for something more aggressive. I mean, Misfortune is aggressive, but in terms of killing your lane opponent, Misfortune will find you priority and poke Phelan out. But there's a strong chance that there's 2v2 kills coming out from Kevo and Hado. And I did just double check, and it's 10.4 where Halo Blades gets a change, which is seen as a buff. You get more time between attacks in which it'll be present on you. It goes from 2 to 3, and the cooldown also longer, but it starts cooldown in combat as well. So that change isn't in place. This is the old Halo Blades.
Yeah, we're on 10-3 at the moment, but 10-4's next week, so that'll finally be the death of Soraka Sona top lane. So far, we've been very lucky to avoid it a fair amount here in the UKLC, but we have had it a little bit. As Ericsson and Dragain actually having a bit of an early scrap. Ericsson actually running the phase rush, so not the electrocute. Obviously wants to be able to put distance between him and Dragain whenever as possible.
So quite a few majors have been running the phase rush. Particularly it works well if you run the GLP. The item that obviously has the active, because you can weave that with your spells to easily proc the phase rush, even if, say, you miss an ability on Syndra. And that burst of movement speed combined with the slow from the GLP makes it very hard to pin down in a mobile mage like the Syndra.
Yeah, Ericsson popped the pots to keep himself up and topped up. He has biscuit delivery as well, so shouldn't be getting too low right now in the lane, but every time we've seen Dragain jump on him, he has been able to trade out very effectively.
Dragain went the shield vault level 1, which is great for trading at level 1, but if Ericsson hits level 2 first, you really feel useless because you can't walk up to the wave. He is now level 2 though, so it's going to be fine. And you see Sawyer has gone for the full bot side clear and is actually looking to move over potentially into the jungle of Sybil here, or look for a gank. These are the two options, and I think it depends on where Ericsson is, but he's pretty pushed up right now.
Ericsson's very pushed up, and Dragain's going to be looking for him. Ericsson able to put some distance though away, walks out.
And that's a difference Cleanse makes. They're not willing to commit the flash because the CC layering wouldn't take effect because of the cleanse that can interrupt it and also reduces the subsequent CC. So Ericsson able to walk that one out.
Oh, Hado just flashed forwards.
Yeah, he was looking for the flay onto Raisins. If he'd managed to catch that, Raisins would have died, 100%. You get a 5-second lockout if you CC'd when you Azumi. So that was the opportunity to try and find an instant kill almost. I respect him going for it, but ultimately not quite fast enough.
Barrage now stealing away the chicken camp here from Sawyer. Sawyer over that wall, maybe seeing if he can get that steal off, but not very LT.
Yeah, the priority is the big thing here. Ericsson shoving Dragain in. Means he can't really do much right now. They're actually walking over to skirmish, but Flares having priority in the top lane as well means that it would be a 3v2, so not a wise one to go for. And you can see in the bot lane, tower heavily pushed in, CS lead built up, that first plate almost gone down in favor of Barrage. This is what we expected from this lane. They picked this to have a lot of pressure early, and that's one of the issues with this Ezreal Yuumi, is you do not hold up well in terms of priority. Your shoving power extremely weak. You are looking to scale up, and your mid game formidable, your late game really strong as well. So if they can get to those stages, they'll be in a good spot. And the thing is, that's why I think this composition does suit Phelan, in the fact that we've seen them consistently hold up in the early game. If they can do this here, then they'll be in a good spot overall. This composition scales pretty well. Barrage, however, I'd say the thing that favors them is when they can look to apply pressure early and then keep running with that into the mid game. And this comp very much sets them up to do that. So I think both of them drafting the way we'd ultimately expect. Just have to see who ends up playing out better for them. Right now, Barrage, so Kevo and Hado shoved a wave in a tower. It's bounced, and they're now trying to get it to push towards them. So Sawyer's going to come down and try and force that. He'll throw him down early to try and get away.
Again, jumps onto Ericsson here. Ericsson's actually pretty low already. Ignite's being used, and one more spear will be enough. Ericsson has to flash.
And the cleanse as well to stop the Ignite burn. So both summoners used. And with Flash still available to Dragain, that is such an easy setup for a kill onto Ericsson when they get back in the lane.
But for now, Sawyer wants to see if he can make something happen here in this bot side. Would be very hard to do so versus a fresh Kalista who are this close to their tower, so it's just the shove coming down. Meanwhile, Sybil onto that Ocean Drake, going to get his hands onto that. And Sawyer not going to know this is going on.
Typically, the Dragon will be pretty risky when the enemy bot lane has priority, but I think the reason he's going for this is he knows how strong the skirmishing power is available to them, and also Dragain being on a reset means they didn't have mid priority. And to be honest, for me, I feel like Sawyer wasn't really looking for the gank there. It's just the wave was bounced, so Kevo and Hado shove it in, it hits the tower, and then it's them pushing away. That's a really bad spot for the Ezreal Yuumi to be in, very vulnerable. So Sawyer going down bot lane, which is helping them escort it in. And the reason why I think this is actually pretty significant is because typically we haven't seen Sawyer working well in tandem with his bot lane, and this is a sign that he is. So a good improvement, not necessarily looking just for the raw kills, but actually assisting your team when they need the help. Shows that the communication is going on for Phelan. So I'm liking it so far, and I'm remaining optimistic.
Absolutely. All right, so Phelan shove this, get this wave shoved into the Barrage. You're going to look for resets here on to Kevo. I'm assuming we're still looking towards like the Blade of the Ruin King Hurricane build for the Kalista.
Yeah, you can go Blade of the Ruin King Ginsu's.
Oh, yeah.
If you want better single target. It sort of depends on how you think the team fights will go, whether you're going to be hitting multiple targets.
Have to see. Now it looks like the Blade is going to be the pickup, at least for Kevo. Once you upgrade those boots as well, you upgrade the jump distance on the Kalista. Is it distance or the jump speed? I can't remember. It's honestly been so long since I've seen a Kalista. I can't remember exactly how she works on that front. Because you upgrade your tier of your boots and it either upgrades the jumps, like I think the projectile speed of the jump or the distance you jump.
I think the problem was that they changed it, which made it confusing. But fortunately, it does actually say if you click on the Kalista and mouse over the martial poise, and lunge distance scales with boot tier. So
okay,
it's the distance.
Well, they got themselves a CS lead here in this bot lane and in the mid and in the top and in the jungle. But Sybil, he might just be getting himself caught out here. The permafrost is on. They're trying to get the stuns off. The teleports are coming down. Sybil's out of there. But the teleport's on. Now it looks for Flares. He's trying to find some kind of an opening. Gets himself the jump away. The scat of the week is going to be denied for the moment as they jump over that wall. A haymaker is huge. Ericsson holds his life as a showstopper onto Bear Tree's enough. It's a turnaround though. A 1-for-1 so far. Hado low HP. Kevo's got those spears into Bear Tree. Finds himself the slow. Hado gets the flay off and ping as the Infernal Chains will pop and find a kill for Bear Tree.
And ultimately, Phelan come out ahead. It's a 2-for-1. Ericsson having no summoner spells made him vulnerable. Hado ends up getting caught out. And one of the things I was going to criticize was a very late TP coming in from Bear Tree, but ultimately it didn't matter. The turnaround was huge. And I think a big factor to that was how much was invested onto Dragain. They put so much into this Pantheon, and he had the Aegis Assault obviously blocked away the Syndra ult and a lot more damage, and that is what facilitated the skirmishing power of Phelan is this Pantheon pick. The ability to mitigate so much damage from your opponents. Ultimately, Phelan getting a good fight, good skirmish.
Absolutely. You see the power of the Aegis just able to block out so much damage. Every time Ericsson finds himself a combo, normally on a Syndra, that's a big chunk, but Dragain just completely blocks it out. Wave is going to get shoved in here, and it looks like Bear Tree's the one to catch it. Lane swap has come down here for the side of Phelan as they want to get their hands onto this Rift Herald. Kevo was a little bit slower to this as he wanted to shove a wave in. He does have a 20 CS lead, and now he's got those tier 2 boots for himself. Flares not got that teleport, so he's actually a bit of a ways away. Raisins will take the true damage from the Haymaker. Now it looks like Sybil looking to start up this Rift Herald here for the moment. You can see that Kevo is almost there with the team, so he should be able to pick this up, and Sybil feeling pretty comfortable. Hado and Flare setting up to catch out onto Raisins. A hook would spell his demise as the lasso goes a little bit wide.
There's a fishing for it, but ultimately do not find Raisins. They are looking towards a Rift Hold though, and one of the big things is that they've kept Flares on the top side. And so this means there's no real chance of Phelan contesting this. The cost is they're losing plates on the bot side. The cost is they're also losing farm on the bot side. But the bonus is that they get the Herald secured. So it's a trade-off that Barrage have opted to go into.
And Flair's had a CS lead anyway in the lane, so he's actually only... It's just Beartree kind of equalizing out that CS, but with these plates...
2 plates and the kill he picked up in that skirmish earlier. It's a calculated risk. You know, they opted into that. They said, we want to prioritize the Herald, so we have to see what they're able to get off it. If they get first tower or the plate...
Oh, they've used the lost chapter here, the final chapter. Beartree trying to get it off, and they actually do just get the pullback. Hado goes for a hook, misses out onto Sawyer.
Okay,
good ulti by Kevo to make sure.
This is going to sound really toxic, but I think they forgot what Kevo's ultimate does since it's been so long since
you know what?
Blister.
I was like, oh yeah, that's why that's not going to work.
That was a huge committal. 2 ultimates, the Sejuani's and the Yumi's, and the flash from Jack Spectra, and it was a very little... You got the Callisto ult, that's it. Definitely a misplay, even if they opted into that thinking maybe they can burst Hado out. Definitely not a good call, but ultimately they do have priority and they're going to try and apply some pressure mid and move down to this dragon. Barrage had already switched pressure down a bot lane, so they're going to try and take this one, but they are not letting it happen. They want to equalize the dragons. This does leave, if you look at the top side of the map on the mini-map, leaves Kevo and Hado with some alone time with the turret. So again, lots of trading going on between these teams. They make decisions that do cost them in one area, but there's a benefit in another.
I'm actually amazed how Barrage haven't lost more with some of these low rotations, because Kevo is always slower on the rotation to the likes of Jack. Jack and Raisin's doing a very good job to read where they want to be swapping to, and they're always ahead of the punch on that. And that cost it cost Raisins, you know, some CS deficit, also some plates over to Beartree. This time it's now costing them the dragon.
But I feel like in this situation, you know, they could have moved over to the dragon. They could have gone for that initially, but the priority was favored in terms over to Phelan. And I think the main call was that Sybil just felt like he could sneak away the dragon. He felt like he didn't need his bot lane to be there. They can stay and apply pressure top. But ultimately, Phelan actually make a smart rotation read. So I think this is less about Kevo being slow and more about Phelan making an intelligent read on them being able to contest. The downside is his top tower being pressured. But Phelan looking to pressure Flares.
Yeah, Flares gets jumped onto, has himself a big old shield as he's going to pop it down. Showstopper's not available as he is stunned up and taken down. That's going to be a kill given over to Phelan. The Rift Herald has been summoned top side, so they should get themselves first turret blooded. Looks like Kevo's going to be the one to find all of that gold as well. More into the Callista. It's too many plates really for Phelan to be able to take out the turret, and now they're just looking for a second charge here. Ericsson's had some free time in the mid lane, so he's got himself some plates as well.
Yeah, and this is the benefit of that Herald, is that they're able to take the tower extremely quickly. Looking at the second.
You use that final chapter, the boot back by Sybil into the Lantern. The turret lives with a sliver of health.
He's on the flank though, but he does back away. He was looking for it, but they opt not to go for it. They want to cover mid instead. TP comes out from Jack Spectra. They don't actually get that bot lane tower. That's a pretty big hit, but they do get a lot of plates. And they did get that kill onto Flares. So again, trade-offs between these teams. I think ultimately them defending their second tower top was pretty important to keep Phelan roughly even, but ultimately the goal lead has gone pretty heavily in Barrage's favor.
Oh, Jack almost getting caught up. He's able to arcane shift away. Sawyer, no ultimate available, so Ericsson just takes a little bit of poke. Not any real threat at the moment. He's got his cleanse, got his flash as well, so feeling pretty confident.
And if we take stock of the items, we can see the Blade of the Rune King coming for Kevo. It's a nice spike. The GLP is picked up by Ericsson, so I was talking about it earlier. Oh,
have to hold that as Flares gets caught out by the Infernal Chase. Has to flash away underneath his tower. Still got plates there for 4 seconds more, so they're not going to be able to take down any more plates on that front. And you can see that Kevo now in the mid lane with that blade, he actually will cut through these towers. Now there's no plates kind of reinforcing these turrets, so Phelan have to rotate 4 members into the mid lane.
And it's just a roaming death squad almost for Phelan. That is their plan. They move over, they just translate this pressure, and they're looking to find plays, looking to find picks around the map. It's very much this trio of Sawyer, Raisins, and Jack Spectra. And honestly, I have a lot of praise, because this is the thing I've hit on for the past couple of weeks, is it felt like the jungle and the support of Phelan weren't working in tandem. And now they are. They are moving together around the map, and they are finding advantages as a result. Now, Barrage still managing to keep up a gold lead, but considering that they are a number 2 team in the league, Good omen so far for Phelan.
Yeah, it's a good omen for the UK as well. It means we got lots of teams tied up here as Flair's going for a fight versus Beartree. Sawyer flashes forward and one more Darkened Blade will secure the kill. Beartree getting himself a second kill onto Flair's.
Yeah, really good play. Set up onto Flares with no flash. Sawyer looking great. And honestly, I'm going to say it, this is the best game from Sawyer so far. Irrespective of what happens for the rest of this, he's had a really solid performance. And with picking up that tower in the bot lane, they're now only slightly behind in gold. Beartree's really strong in the top lane matchup. Jack Spectra picking up the kill means that he, although he's still down in gold because of the plates, he's in a pretty good spot considering how rough the laning phase was for him. He's kept mostly even in CS. Phelan are looking good. Now, the caveat is we are moving into the mid-game. They have struggled here before. When it comes to lane assignments, when it comes to objective control, finding the right fights, they have had difficulties. The early game has looked promising. We'll have to see how it pans out from here on out.
Well, for now, it looks like Barrage looking to get their hands onto this Rift Herald, although Phelan maybe looking to scrap this out. Flair's bot side has his teleport, so he's quickly shoving the wave to make sure he can collapse if he needs to. So the Rift Herald's just going to be given up here. Barrage now have to rotate into this mid side to try and catch the wave so they don't lose too much tower pressure. Flares continues to push away on the bot side of the map, and now that this Rift Herald will be picked up by Barrage, you expect them to maybe use it mid lane to try and assert their pressure here. Beartree sitting in the brush. Maybe looks to try and find something on to the side of Flares. Flares is going to have to go for a long old run. Beartree can chase him down with that World Ender with a CC available. Flares just gets locked up, caught out. The Lantern's way too far away from him. Gets himself a showstopper off, but he is nowhere near. The Lantern comes out, and he holds his life. Haddo throws out the box. They get the slow off of the Flares as now Sybil looks to collapse in here. That's the ultimate for gain, and Haddo gives up his life as Sybil jumps in forward, gets himself a three-man kickoff, and now the Hextech Hosepipe has been used. A Scout of the Week will follow up as Sawyer goes golden as the Unleashed Power will stop that for the moment. Kevo over the wall, trying to just put the damage into the side of Phelan, but Barrage were on the wrong side of the map. A teleport as it looks like they're looking to rejoin it into the fight here. Flares trying to close the gap. Sybil gets over the wall, and Phelan are still hunting for more. Ericsson, low HP, gets a scatter down, and Sybil with the execution here. And it looks like Phelan have to back away. That was such a scrappy fight.
And it looked like Barrage, we're going to lose that one. It honestly did. It looked like Barrage were going to fall behind, but some beautiful kiting away. They dived in and out with their mobility, but it's not over yet.
Kevo does have that Ren, so it's pretty hard to outsmite here as he tries to get the damage off. It looks like Ericsson's turning around. Kevo over the wall, and a hook comes out by Haddo. The flay backwards, and Raisins will take a boot to the face as he falls down. Barrage, get Dragon and get 2 more kills.
And Phelan, it happens again. The mid-game is where they start to flounder. The fight looked like it was going in their favor. They had the momentum, but they weren't able to find the kills on the right targets. Ultimately, Barrage turn it around, and then Phelan are unwilling to give up the Dragon. They commit more, and it ends up backfiring massively. They can look for Haddo here, but the ult's still available for Kevo. You won't find anything.
Great play. Great play by Haddo there. Block that out. Beartree catching the wave here for the moment. Flair's now got that Black Cleaver, not the Triforce build. Gone for the Cleaver. Could still go for the Triforce afterwards. We have seen people double stacking those Phage items. Purely because the Phage passive isn't the end of the world. Stacking it gets you 40% CDR.
And I think from here, we have to take stock of the game once again. So mid tower went down because of the Rift Herald that was thrown down at the start. We now have a 4,000 gold lead to Barrage. Phelan were pretty close before that fight, and they're now massively behind. Pantheon down in farm, down in kills. He's falling off compared to Ericsson.
This is one of the things, is the Pantheon does fall off pretty hard. As Sybil now looking for him, will land that Sonic Strike, has got the ability to kick him backwards, but Sawyer looking to close that gap. Ericsson, Scat of the Week will come down, followed up by a True Shot. Barrage who goes a little bit wide, but Beartree has popped the World Ender. The Hextech Hosepipe's been used. They've been locked in place. The Unleashed Power's there. The Scat of the Week to follow up. Ericsson trying to dump away. They've got a Redemption to keep him alive for the moment, and in comes Raisin. Ericsson gets slowed. Jack looking for the snipe, gets scattered, gets popped by the orb. A shield, a lantern from Haddo, as all of a sudden Phelan look for the punish. They only find one though.
But look at the cost. Look at that wave in the bot lane crashing under the tower. All of that farm being missed. It's actually just all died away as we're speaking. Barrage, they had the waves in their favor, so Phelan, they look for a fight. They get 1 kill, but they lose quite a lot on the map in terms of CS.
We're seeing the Hurricane build as well for Kevo here, so doesn't want to go for the Guinzoos yet. May pick it up as a third item potentially.
I think the Hurricane is more standard. I think Guinzoos is just something you can do. But yeah, ultimately Phelan, they're still looking for these kills. They do find it. They lose a lot of farm on the bot side though. It's a trade, and I like that they try to go for it. I like that they're still trying to be aggressive. They do scale well, so if they can keep this mid game within the realms of control, they'll be okay, but they are down pretty significantly in terms of gold. These 2-item spikes for Barrage are pretty significant. There's a lot of utility afforded to this Syndra. She's now maxed her second ability. That's going to be the W, so she gets that extra true damage. On top of that, she has the Zhonya's for safety. And then critically, Kevo's 2-item spikes is similar to the Varus. Strong as he's going to get. This is his big spike, and he's ahead of the curve compared to Jack Spectra, who doesn't have his Triforce finish. So Kevo in a really good spot. He has just picked up the Executioner's Calling as well, so going to cut down that Yuumi healing and the healing for Battery on this Aatrox. So I feel like Barrage, really, they're in a good spot here to start pushing the pace up. They can start dictating the fights. They can look for the momentum. Phelan, they're really the ones who are looking for the engages so far. And we'll have to see how things start to play out. So Flares up on the top side, and we still have Kevo in the mid lane. Dragain, he's just happy to go bot lane, shove it out, and then obviously with that ult can join if they need to.
21 minutes on the clock. Barrage ahead. Fairly significant amount here versus Phelan. The Executioner's calling on Kevo means the healing for Bear Tree. And the healing given from Raisins be negated just a small amount. Maybe enough to turn the tides of these fights again and again. But we keep seeing a lot of scraps breaking out. 1 minute until the next dragon, and if Barrage can get it, it means there'll be one off point. You know they're going to want to scrap for that, so we might just look to set up the vision for the moment. They haven't got overly a massive amount of vision yet. So they are sieging up in the mid side and on the bot side as Grand Starfall gets used by Dragain, and that actually will just give him up for the tower.
Yeah, trying to force pretty hard here. Understanding the pressure coming out from Barrage is hard to contest, but ultimately it's over, but now they're looking. Yeah,
they are looking to do something here. Hado does have that box, gets himself caught out, but Kevo pulls him back with the ultimate. Sawyer jumps in forwards. Kevo gets a lantern away to safety as Hado throws out the box. A kick through, and that'll be the end of Dragain. Raisins is next up as he gets rendered down. A double kill for Kevo.
Beautiful work in tandem for the bot lane of Barrage. It is very hard to punish Thresh Kalista. If you target one, the other one pulls them away, and they essentially did the alley-oop. One of them throws the other.
They just got as maximum distance as possible there. You pull them away, then you throw them as far away from you as possible, and then you pull you to them.
It looked like, you know that video where like firefighters, they like it's soldiers do it often, where they like climb a wall and then like prop each other up and then pull each other up the other end. It looked like that, literally.
I mean, it's teamwork building.
Yeah, team building.
Teamwork is dream work, buddy.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and Barrage, they get 2 towers there. They're massively ahead now, over 6,000. Again, Phelan mid-game, they lose their grip on things, and Barrage have started to storm this game. They're now going to reset and spend that gold. They picked up the 3rd dragon. They're now at Soul Point. Baron is up and available, and it's hard to contest against a Kalista, especially now she has QSS as well. Things are looking rough, and that's that goal difference right now. It's not just the fact that you have damage items, because Kevo has his 2 damage items in the Blade Rune King and the Runans. Jack Spectra has his Mana Mune and his Triforce, but it's the extra items you pick up. It's the Executioner's Calling to reduce the healing. It's the QSS to mitigate the CC. And Barrage in a pretty comfortable spot right now. You can see the individual goal discrepancies in front of you. Everyone got a lead, particularly in the 80 carry role, you can see. But mid as well.
That's pretty horrible.
It's only really Bear Tree who has anything in his favor. And the Aatrox right now, it's a struggle to make the impact against his team composition. There's a lot of lockup, a lot of CC.
A lot of kiting as well, crucially.
Yeah, Kalista, it's hard to hit those sweet spots on her, as she will just keep dashing away. But Phelan, there is still hope. It's not looking great now, but their composition does scale. Obviously, some parts better than others. The Pantheon won't be too relevant. But he does still function as a frontliner and can burst if he gets on the right target. But it's Jack Spectrum Raisins we're looking towards. It's Ezreal, this Yuumi, can be monstrous in the later stages of the game, but they need a bit more time. They need a few more items in their pocket. And basically, the main thing is this goal discrepancy, 6,000. It's pretty big at 25 minutes, but if this is the same discrepancy at, say, 35, it's definitely less relevant.
Looks like they're jumping onto Kevo here. The lantern has been thrown down. They're trying to get the CC off. Kevo can't get away. Yes, he can. The movement speed's massive as a kick comes down. Dragain gets himself a 1,000 gold shutdown. Hado is next up. Jack punishes out. And that's 2 quick kills for Phelan. Now you got to watch out for Ericsson over that wall. He actually misses out on the scat of the week, so he throws out a slow zone from the Hextech hosepipe, and now Sawyer's on the flank. Sybil has no kick. Another scan of the week onto Free. Ericsson's trying to buy some space as he has to flash away. Uses that cleanse nice and early as everybody's looking to get on top of the Syndra. The unleashed power. The kick's there by Sybil. He's not going to follow up. Ericsson goes golden. Beartree can just find this, or Ericsson actually scatters him away. Oh, what an outplay. Sybil finds the kill.
You call it an outplay, I call it a misplay. He mistimed his Darkened Blade as he came out of the stasis and ultimately can't find it. It's still a favorable team fight for Phelan there, especially the shutdown on a Kevo. I think my favorite moment in that is that Kevo, they placed the control ward on the lantern.
I know, it's just like quickly.
So he couldn't take it, so he just kills it. You don't often see that being the response. Pretty funny overall. It does end up shutting down Kevo. That's a big takeaway. But ultimately not able to get too much more on top of that, especially with Beartree going down. But I'm liking the feeling they're still trying to contest. And thanks to that big shutdown, the gold lead has closed slightly. 500 better off overall. But things are still going to be a little bit precarious. It's a couple of minutes away from that dragon. It will be the soul. Now, ultimately, Cloud Soul not really going to be the most impactful here. Kalista doesn't benefit much from the movement speed. The ult usage, I feel like Ericsson likes it. Flares likes it. Lisa in a little bit. Kalista Thresh. Kalista not really, doesn't really benefit from the movement speed as the main thing. Although it does give you that speed boost if you want to throw Thresh in. Ultimately, it's not the most impactful soul for their team, I feel. It's not just going to be a flat bucket of stats like a Mountain Soul can be, or an Infernal Soul, but it can give them a helping hand. I feel like Phelan will look to contest that one, but the Baron is still the bigger one on the cards.
It's not an awful one, I guess, when you get the Unleashed Power, gives Syndra a little bit more burst movement speed. As Hado, he just gets pulled back in. They got a teleport to work with. The box has been used. Sybil has the kick, has that flash, gets it back. Dragain gets pushed into the team. Redemption heals everyone up. A massive haymaker will squash them down as Sawyer has to flash away. There's a lot of Ren stacks in him available, and Kevo's trying to buy some space versus Beartree, getting as money in as possible. That's a kill for him, and Barrage find himself too.
And again, they're overcommitting onto the Thresh. The Kalista coming in so big here in the fact that she offers so much safety to this Thresh. He is the primary pick target for Phelan, and it's just not working on the back of this Yuumi Sejuani combo, because every time he's just yanked away. And now the Baron, it's getting taken down. Jack Spectrum Raiden's going to move over and try and apply some poke.
So hard to actually secure a Baron versus the Kalista. She just gets so many Ren stacks and there's so much burst to work with. Jack needs to be a little bit careful here because Ericsson could maybe find a scatter. Does look for it. It was very, very close as Hado now has to be a little careful himself. There's a lot of damage coming out from the Ezreal, but Flares is going into that flank. Remember, there's a lot of movement speed to work with over these walls. The scan of the week is again a little bit wide. Flares looks to jump forward, throws out the haymaker for the shield. A face breaker pulls the two back in as now Ericsson unleashes power into Jack, but the heals are big, and this will be Cloud Soul over to the side of Barrage unless Phelan can find a miracle steal. Look for Sawyer. That's a great stun coming down, and the Baron's already, the Dragon's already been picked up. Showstopper throws into the middle of the free. The last chapter's already been used, and that is Raisins falling. That is everybody on the side of Phelan falling as a quadra kill is picked up for Kevo.
And it's a dominating fight for Barrage. Phelan try to contest, but they cannot find any headway. Kevo is untouched. Ericsson is untouched. They get the Baron, they get the Cloud Soul, and now they're looking to knock on the base and potentially just take the whole game here and now.
Looks like the inhibitor will fall here. Barrage. Few more seconds left on these death timers to deal with. Phelan have to do it now. It's do or die. As Sawyer will be spawning up. He's already lost one tower. The second one's very low. They get themselves the stun down, but the Nexus is going to be focused out here. Barrage don't care. They're just looking to end the game right here, right now. That's the end of the Nexus. That's the end of the game. Phelan fall to Barrage.
And ultimately, my chair's been moved closer. I don't know what, I didn't move it. So now I'm right up there.
No. The magic's kind of spoiled now. Yes, we don't sit at the desk.
Yeah. Anyway, so Barrage, they managed to bring it back. They have some decisive team fights. I like the Callista pick. It actually came out huge at denying the pick attempts onto Hado. So good utilization. Ultimately, they did come back pretty heavy swinging in the mid game. And Phelan, it was better. I think that's the main takeaway. It may feel a little bit frustrating because the early game went well, but I think the big key points to take away was I liked that Raisins and Sawyer were working together well as a team. I think that was the best game from Sawyer so far.
Yeah.
They went toe-to-toe in the early game, but it was still that mid-game around taking the right fights, around contesting these objectives. They were down in Dragons, they were down in Heralds.
I mean,
that is the criticism. That's the next step. But considering they did this against Barrage, against another team in the league,
this is the second place team Barrage versus the second to bottom team Phelan. So that didn't look like a massive gap like you would kind of expect just looking on paper. That was definitely a strong game from Phelan, and if they can keep that up in the second round robin, they might be able to climb up that ladder a little bit more. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to come down to fixing up those mid-game issues. I think that's a big takeaway here, but they have definitely gone the right direction in a lot of areas. They are looking like a team who are developing. They are looking like a team who is getting better. There's just another step for them to take. And if they potentially manage to shore that up in the next week or two, then maybe they could make playoffs. It's a big maybe. But at bare minimum, I think they could look to challenge the other teams in the bottom four. Yeah.
And at least be the best of the rest.
Well, we'll have to find out because the best of the best will be playing in the next game. It's going to be Envision taking on BTXL. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.